Hi, today I am going to discuss our EMSE 21 paper, Learning Lenient Parsing and Typing by Indirect Supervision. I am Toufique. I am a fourth year PhD candidate from UC Davis. This work was done by me, my advisor Professor Premkumar Devanbu and Vincent Hellendoorn. Code fragments from Stack Overflow are imperfect. Some of them are fragmentary, some of them are incomplete or ill-formed. So let's look into this example. The IDEs cannot parse this code snippet from Stack Overflow because there is an ellipsis in the code. And we've seen that there are hundreds of examples in Stack Overflow which have such kind of syntactical error. We also found that the beginners programmer face difficulties with syntax, and the error message provided by the IDEs sometimes help them to resolve the syntactical error, but in many cases they still face difficulties even after getting those error messages. So if we can parse and type fragmentary code, that would be very useful in IDEs. Then people can just copy paste the code from Stack Overflow, and the IDEs can remove the syntactical error and do the necessary typing from them. So in this paper, we propose a transformer-based approach that can parse and type the code despite having simple syntactical error. One of the major challenges or requirements of machine learning model is human curated dataset. It is always difficult to produce data at scale where some form of human involvement is required. In this paper, we propose an approach that doesn't need any human involvement. We use Eclipse JDT to produce ASTs in scale. Now, after generating the ASTs, we introduce some very high frequency common syntactical error to the source code and update the ASTs accordingly. That means if there is any syntactical error in the source code, that will be reflected on the ASTs, and from the ASTs we can fix the syntactical error in the program. So we believe that the high capacity deep learning model, if trained well, can overcome both fragmentation and corruption that we introduce in the source code, and we can use the same approach to fix student program also. In the following slide, we will discuss about these concepts in more detail. This is the overall architecture of our tool BlockFix plus FragFix. We use this tool to generate parse trees from the code or fix the program which is a syntactical error. So there are several components of this tool. In this slide, I will try to explain all of them very briefly. The first component we have is BlockFix. BlockFix is a deep learning based approach that resolves the nesting error in the program. So if there is any unpaired curly braces in the program, BlockFix will take care of that. Then we have the second component, segmenter, that will produce list of fragments from the complete code. This is important because deep learning model can handle sequences up to a certain number of tokens. So FragFix is a second deep learning model that produces the ASTs from the given code or given fragment. So note that if there is any error in the code, FragFix will reflect them in the output. And if there is no error in the code, FragFix will produce the AST just like Eclipse JDT. So after getting the ASTs for all the fragments, we have a merger that will produce the complete ASTs for the given code. And if we want to get the program without any syntactical error, we have another block to do so. In the last slide, we introduce our first deep learning based model, BlockFix, that resolves the nesting error in the program. In this slide, we will discuss why we have introduced such component and how it works. Remember one thing, the deep learning based model cannot handle sequences after a certain number of tokens. So if we have 800 tokens long Java program and there is a missing curly braces at the end, it is very difficult for deep learning model to resolve because the two relevant tokens are very far from each other. So in this slide, we will show how BlockFix can resolve such problem. We have two snippets here. In the first snippet, we have a complete Java program. In the second snippet, we have an abstracted version of the complete program. If we carefully look into the abstracted version, we can see that we abstracted out all the expression, we extracted out all the conditional statement, also replaced the identifiers with a generic name. By doing so, we reduce the length of the program. An 800 token length program become less than 100 token if we do such kind of abstraction. And deep learning model can handle such smaller sequences. So we abstracted out millions of files and produce such abstracted version of the code and introduce noises and ask the transformer based deep learning model to remove those noises for us. Since we abstracted out the original program, we can reconstruct the program after fixing the nesting error. One of the advantages of block fixed model is it has a very small vocab. We abstracted out all the expression and replaced the identifier with a generic token that makes the vocab size very small, and deep learning models can be benefited from that. In the next slide, we will discuss about our second deep learning model, FragFix. In this slide, we will discuss about our second deep learning based model, FragFix, that generates AST for the given code fragment. We collected a vast amount of code fragments from GitHub and generated AST using Eclipse JDT. And using the data, we train a high capacity deep learning model. So as I already mentioned, if there is no error in the code, the output will be the ASTs produced by Eclipse JDT. But if there is any error in the code, that error will be reflected in the AST. So let's look into this example where we have a code snippet int x equals to 0 with a missing semicolon. And if we carefully look into the AST, we can see that there is a fragment of the AST that indicates the semicolon is missing in the given code snippet. Just like block fix, our frag fix is also getting the advantage of having small vocab. The frag fix is very successful and achieves 96% accuracy on synthetic data, where block fix achieves 75%. After looking into the output of frag fix, we can understand that how we can resolve the syntactical error by looking into the ASTs produced by FragFix. So far we have discussed about parsing and student code correction tasks. Now we will discuss about typing. In this paper we propose a transformer based approach typefix that can assign types to the variables. We followed a similar approach that was proposed in Deep Typer paper that came in 2018, but there are a few differences between typefix and Deep Typer. Deep Typer was trained on TypeScript data and it used the complete file information, where in typefix we only use the Java fragment. There is another architectural differences between them. Deep Typer was a LSTM model, where for typefix we use transformer. But just like a Deep Typer, we formulate this problem as sequence tagging and assign types to each token. So if we look into this example, there are only two variables, something and O, and we assign two types on those two tokens, boolean and java.lang.object. For other tokens, we assign null type. We discuss about the ideas and tasks we are aiming in this paper. Now we will discuss about the results we achieve from our tool. We will start with lenient parsing, then we will discuss about typing and student code correction also. For lenient parsing, we divided the output of our model into 4 specific classes. Is the sequence generated by the model exactly match the sequence generated by Eclipse JDT? We consider that one correct. If the output of the model can be fixed by adding 1 or 2 parentheses at the end, that means we can write an algorithm to fix the ASTs. We call them auto-fixed. There are 2 more classes. One is partial, when the root of the ASTs only match with the root of the ASTs generated by the Eclipse JDT, and others are incorrect. So to evaluate our model, we collected 200 fragments from Stack Overflow, and we compare our tool with a simple parse and wrap approach by Eclipse JDT. And out of 200, 123 of them were parsable by Eclipse JDT, and Eclipse JDT failed to parse 55 of the code snippet. There are also 22 fragments that are not actually code. They were some form of XML, Gradle data, etc. So we are interested about those 55 examples where Eclipse JDT failed. And of those 55 examples, we have seen that 30 of them were fixed by our lenient parser and 6 of them are auto-fixed. only 3 of them are wrong. So together with Eclipse GDT, this lenient parser can fix 159 fragments out of 178 ones. So that is 89.3% of all the fragments. In this slide, I will present some example to motivate the viewers. These are the examples where Eclipse GDT failed, but our tool BlockFix plus FragFix could produce suitable path trees for this fragment. So let's look into the first example. In the first example, we can see some unwanted ellipses in the fragment. And this is the reason why Eclipse GDT could not parse it. But our tool BlockFix plus FragFix could parse this fragment successfully and indicate those ellipses as extra punctuation. For the second example, the Eclipse GDT could not parse it because the initial part of the switch statement is missing. As we already mentioned, our tool is trained to work on fragment, so BlockFix plus FragFix can take this partial part of the switch case statement and produce a suitable parse tree. And for the third one, we can see that the Eclipse GDT failed because of the missing semicolon. As we already discussed that our BlockFix plus FragFix could not only produce correct AST for these types of examples, it could also fix them. In this slide, we will discuss about the results we achieve in student code correction task. For student code correction task, we use black box repository for training and evaluating our model. We compare our model with Toufique. Toufique is one of the first models that applied deep learning to fix student program. But there are a few limitations there. The original Toufique was trained on C and it can only handle sequences up to 400 to 450 tokens. So any error that occurs outside of that range, Toufique cannot fix them. On the other hand, in our data set, there are many sequences that are more than 450 tokens. So to compare our model properly with Toufique, we train two separate versions of Toufique. The Toufique short that can take up to 400 tokens, the Toufique long that can take up to 800 tokens. Then we compare our model with both versions of Toufique, and in the figure we can see that until 400 token, both versions of Toufique was outperforming our model. But after 400 token, our model BlockFix plus FragFix outperformed both versions of Toufique and maintain a very constant accuracy until 1000 tokens. In the shorter program, Toufique is performing well because it is using the complete context for fixing the student program, where our model is using small fragment for fixing it. So far, we have discussed about the results we achieve in student code correction task and lenient parsing. Now let's talk about typing. To evaluate type fix, we collected some fragments from Stack Overflow and we divided the fragments into three different classes: Android, Cloud, Java category, and Popular. In the Android classes, we keep the samples which comes from Java Android related discussion. In the second class, we keep only the samples that has only code Java classes. In the last group, we have very high frequency types like string, list, etc. And from the results, we can see that for the popular classes, type fix is very successful in achieving around 100% accuracy. For the code Java type, the accuracy is also high, like around 90%. But for Android, the accuracy significantly drops and it's around 50%. So it indicates that typefix is very successful in assigning types, but its performance may be influenced by the frequency of the types. Let me summarize the overall contribution of this paper. We propose an indirect supervision approach that can be used to generate data at scale for models like BlockFix plus FragFix. We propose a two-stage deep learning based approach, BlockFix plus FragFix, that can not only parse code with syntactical error but also fix them. And the model BlockFix can fix nesting error of the program, where the FragFix is trained to generate ASTs for any given code fragment even with simple error. We have also done some work with typing, so we propose a model typefix that can assign types to the variables in a code fragment. Note that for all three models, blockfix, fragfix, and typefix, we use transformer architecture. And our model is also language agnostic. If you can carefully find out the separators for a particular language, our ideas and model can be adapted for any new languages. Thank you for listening to my presentation.